All right, so we're going to begin with investigating data distributions. So we're actually going to begin with, it's what we call univariate data, which was just when we had the one list of, information. But anyway, so what we call the data, obviously we call it, we have a variable, and we have different types of variables. So first it branches off into two types. So we either have numerical or we have categorical, and then they branch off into either, for categorical, you can either have, it can be nominal or ordinal, or numerical could be discrete and continuous. So when we say categorical, it's when we classify it as a name. So it'll classify or name. So as I said, like maybe, blonde hair, brown hair, that you're classifying something, so, or you're giving it a name, and it's a quality or attribute. So when we say attribute, so maybe, so we're looking at something like that. So maybe if you're male, female, or if you look at a lot of surveys and things like that, are you a P plater, are you an L plater, things like that. With numerical, it has a data value that is a quantity. So as I said, so maybe your weight, your height, or, they might say the number of, TVs in a house, like number you're counting. So that's, as we say, are quantities. So they're the two, probably the words. So for numerical, it's quantity, and quality for categorical. So then you have these two breaking off branches. So let's look at categorical. So categorical can be nominal, and the data values simply just have simply just a name. Data values that are just a name. So what I mean by that, so if you said maybe like the type of car, you had a Mercedes, BMW, it's just a name, or maybe what suburb you live in, Essendon, Moonee Ponds, that's just it's no name, there's no order to it. So if someone lives in Essendon, someone lives in Moonee Ponds, we sort of can't order that in any way. Then you have categorical data that is ordered. So the values that can be both named and ordered. So values that can be named and ordered. So what I mean by that is, like we said before, and you can see down here we've got a few examples, is like shoe size. Yeah, it's a label. You're really just labeling it. You're a 10, I'm a 6 and things like that. But there is order that we do know a 10 is bigger than a 6. So there's order. There's other ones that comes up, and it's a little bit tricky. If they survey and they put you into an age category, so say like you're in the 20 to 30s, that's labeling it. You're putting it in a category. So that's actually categorical. But, because someone's in 20s to 30s and someone's in 30s to 40s, the 30 to 40 is older than that. So there's an order there. So that would be categorical, and that would be ordinal. So there's a few little trap ones. So in this table, what you're going to do is, if you get ones that you sort of went, oh, I didn't know that was that one, you can just add them in. So obviously this will be on your reference book, and you'll be able to add in extras. So if we just look at categorical, you can see that so if we had nominal, we've got like male or female, so there's no order in that. One of the other ones that came up that was pretty poorly done in an exam was the postcode. So it's just simply because people didn't know how postcodes were given. So a postcode is just given out to when a new suburb's made, the next postcode number available goes to it, but there's no order, there's no order in, the distance from the city, there isn't any order in it. So it's actually nominal, and that's where kids didn't realise that. They realised it was categorical, but they thought there was an order to it. There actually is no order to it. So that was one that got trapped up. With here in the ordinal, it was this over 50s, under 50s. It's categorical because it's a grouping, but it does have order. Yeah, you're either younger or in the older group. So then if we were to look at numerical, we have two types. So these we've got discrete, and we often say these are countable. So and it has a distinct number. So you're actually a full number. So say if I said we were collecting how many pets were in everyone's house. So, 3 pets, 2 pets, that's a whole number, we're counting it. So they're distinct values. So you might say 1, 2, 3, so on. When you have continuous, that is generally you talk about you're measuring it. And so what you're saying is that, you can have that infinite number, which means my height could be 150.6 centimetres. You get that point bit going. So that's what continuous is. And so we've got a few examples there. So the number of TVs in the houses, ages. We generally say ages because we count a whole year. We don't say I'm 43 and 0.2 months. So we generally say, because we count just a year of how long we've been born, age is generally, if it's said like that. So age is careful because you could be categorical if they group it, but if they just ask you flat out what your age is, then that becomes numerical. So that's where we have really important. It's not the name itself that tells you what type of data it is. It's actually how it was collected. Yeah. So here, weights recorded in kilograms. Yeah, if you just wrote down everyone's weight, that is numerical variable, and that would be our numerical, and we could say continuous. Okay, if you looked at weight, say we were doing a survey, and we're just going to say, right, you're a 1 if you're underweight, you're a 2 if you're... So even though it has the title weight, and underneath it, it's going to have, that person had a 1, that person had a 3 because they were overweight. It's not numerical data, is it? Because we're categorising them and we're just using that. So you need to be careful with that, with the names. So we've got a couple of examples here. So let's have a look and see if we can answer them. So it says that data relating to the following 4 variables was recorded in a study of the properties of a meteor craters. Okay. So they recorded the location, whether it was in the northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere. They recorded the country it was in. They recorded the diameter in kilometres, and they recorded the age in millions of years. Now, the number of these variables that are categorical variables. So if we go through this, what do you think location is? Northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, that's categorical, yeah? And I know you might want to say that there's an order in it, but there isn't, okay? So we'd probably say that is nominal, yeah? It's just one or the other, like male or female. Okay, country, that's categorical, isn't it? And does that have any order? No, that would be nominal. I'm just adding a little bit extra so we can practice. And then if we look at diameter in kilometres, that would be numerical. And which type? Would it be continuous or discrete? Continuous. So you measured that because you could, have 156 kilometres or something. And age in millions of years. So because they're rounding it off, these craters have been, really old. We will probably say that's numerical, and we'd say it's discrete. Yeah, because they're just going to round it to the year, so we're counting a whole number. Okay, so they just asked us in the question how many of these are categorical. So out of these 4, how many are categorical? 2. So there's your answer. That's 2. Okay, that was question 1 on an exam. All right, so the table table 1 shows the day number and the minimum temperature in degrees for 15 consecutive days. Which of the 2 variables in the data is an ordinal variable? So ordinal, if you've got to remember, that's categorical and it's got an order. So which one of these is the ordinal data out of these 2? So I'm talking about out of these 2 variables, these are the 2 things we collected, day number and then minimum temperature. Day number. We're going to go day number because, so day number, it's a label and it does have an order because day 2 comes after day 1, so we're going to say it's ordinal. And then we're going to say, but minimum temperature, because this one would be numerical and it would be continuous, yeah? Because we measured that, the temperature. Okay, so then there's another exam question. So they often start your exam off with a question of checking the data, what type of data. So we've got some more. So the variables number, the number of family members and age group. Now look how they've categorised that age group, haven't they? And when I say categorise, should be giving it away. That is definitely categorical data, isn't it? Yeah, even though it's an age, it says age group, but it's categorical, and that one would be ordinal. Now the other one, the number of family members, well that we counted, yeah? So that's numerical and that would be discrete. So the variables are, so when you see that word respectively, that just means whichever one they listed first, they're putting first in the answer. So I want to see numerical first and then followed by, we've said it was ordinal. So let's go with C. Are you happy with that? Yeah. So then the next question, the table below shows the average sleep time in hours. So for the sample of 19 animals. So you've got the type of animal. So that's definitely categorical. Yeah, it's and it would be nominal, wouldn't it? Because, just any old animal. And the average sleep time in hours. So it says which of these 2 variables, type of mammal or average sleep, is a nominal variable. So we already know that would be the type of animal, yeah? Because nominal, is a categorical one. So type of mammal. Okay, so that one here, it's because it says average sleep time in hours. Because if you counted maybe whole hours, you could start debating, well, which one is this, discrete or continuous? But they didn't ask that, yes? So when there's a little bit of, there could be debate, you're not going to be put to test that one. They probably would just say, is it numerical? Yeah, because people would start arguing. You need to really know how data was collected. Because if they just counted hours, that would be different. If they measured in time, well, then that's different. Yeah, so there's when you have iffy ones, they wouldn't be testing you on that. So you should definitely be able to answer it. So look for that. Okay, and in this one, it says, so you've got all this data they collected. So you've got all of these across here are variables, yeah, that they've collected. Okay, and it says write down the number of categorical variables in this data set. So let's go through. Now, we said if we labelled the year, we said that's categorical, isn't it? We're giving that a categorical. So, and we know it's got an order. So the winner, definitely, like it's a name, yeah? Categorical. Country, categorical. Now, time in hours, looks like they've measured that. So I'm going to say that is numerical. Average speed, we're going to go numerical, yeah? Number of stages. So the Tour de France. So the number, they're counting up how many stages they've done. So I'm going to go with that's numerical. Yeah, because I think they're counting up how many stages they've done. Yeah, shows the 9 variable, yeah. So we'll go with that. Race length, that numerical. Number of starters will go numerical, yeah? And the number of finishers will go numerical. So write down the number of categorical variables in this data set. We're going to go 3. I think that the tricky bit would have been the year. A lot of people would not have collected that one as a categorical, okay?